If you are a millennial Black woman who wants to have time freedom, maybe retire early, but you don't own a house and you don't have a pension coming, this video is for you. So, today we're going to talk about how to build assets to create time freedom if you don't have some of those traditional components of, of finance or of retirement. So before we get into that, first let me introduce myself. My name is Celeste, and I work contract jobs to support my life and also to give me the time off for slow travel, rest, and play. And on this channel, I talk about how Black women can use contract work to create more time freedom in their lives. I also coach Black women working in marketing who are interested in transitioning to contract work. And we'll talk a little bit about that later. So let's get into it. If you see me looking down, it's just I'm looking at my notes to make sure I cover everything. So, how to create time freedom. So, we live in a society where you really do have to buy your freedom, buy your time back. And I actually do think of it literally that way. Like, I think about back during slavery, slaves like buying their freedom. And I can't imagine like all the like how any of them were ever able to pull it off. But we know that some of them did, with all the obstacles that are in their way. And so I always think like with all the advantages that we have today, you know, it's got to be easier. I'm not saying it's easy, but that's just kind of how I think about it in my mind. Is that like we really are buying our freedom. Um, a lot of the conversations, a lot of the rhetoric around personal finance and retirement planning basically assumes that there's just the one way to do it, right? That you spend your whole life working and trying to save up this big pile of money so that at the end you can buy freedom for like a little bit of time, right? And I think that, I'll tell you if something is a scam. I think that's a scam. And that I think it's a very deliberate message, right? To get a workforce full of people to spend their entire able-bodied years performing labor, so that they can one day reach this amount of money, this massive amount of money that, they may live to see it, they may not. They may be healthy when they accumulate that money, they may not. But like if I wanted to suck up somebody's entire life force and use it for my profit or my gain, that's exactly what I would tell them, what they're telling us. So again, I'm just kind of sharing some of the ways that I think about it. And um, I have pretty strong feelings about this topic. But anyway, so let's get into it. You don't have to follow that model. That's where I was going with that train of thought. So now let's talk about some strategies that you can use. Again, if you don't have a house to sell or rent out, or you don't have a pension, but you still want to achieve time freedom. So the first strategy is to buy your freedom in pieces. And so, or in chunks. And this is kind of what I do. So I take contracts for 8 months, 9 months, something like that. And then when they end, I take a break in between. And then when I'm ready to start working again, I start a new contract and kind of repeat the cycle. So I'm not saving up this big, massive amount so that I can support myself financially for 20 years, 30 years. I'm saving up an amount to support myself for 3 months or 4 months. And then I'm going back into the workforce and repeating the cycle. So yeah, that's just one approach. And like I said, if you want to know more about like how I do that, even if you're not in the marketing field, but you just want to ask some questions about contracting and finances and like how to make the transition, you can book a call with me at bit.ly/reset with Celeste, and I'll have that link for you in the description. Okay. Second strategy is to combine cash flow with maybe a smaller pile of money. So again, the traditional model is work your whole life, save up this massive pile of money that you can draw down from once you stop working. That's one way to do it. Another way is to generate cash flow. So you have cash coming in that can cover some of your living expenses rather than like withdrawing from the big pile of money. So that could be dividend investing, affiliate income, which I know a little bit about, but if you know an affiliate, like an affiliate marketing expert, drop it in the comments. Otherwise, I'm going to be on here making a video about it myself. Uh, or starting a business, anything that brings in some cash flow that can cover some of your monthly expenses, right? And then you can combine that with maybe you don't need $1 million saved up. Maybe you need a smaller amount plus some cash flow, and together those two sources can fund your retirement. So I'm going to link in the comments to Brown Girls Invest Too. That's Dee's channel, and she talks a lot about dividend investing. So she is the expert on that. I'm going to send you over there. And yeah, so that's that on that one. So the third strategy, I kind of talked about it already, but is to build a smaller stockpile. So we're not talking about the $2 million, $5 million, or whatever. We're talking about like, you know, some money you can get your hands on, again, combine it with some cash flow and support yourself. So homeowners, you know, they obviously have that big asset that they can sell and generate an instant, you know, $100,000, $200,000. I think I read somewhere that the average homeowner makes $122,000 in profit. And I think that data might be from like 2022 or fairly recently. Homeowners can also like tap into a HELOC, a home equity line of credit. So obviously, as people who don't own homes, and that includes me, we don't have that resource. So we have to build it ourselves. And you can do that with, you know, a little bit of focused effort. Open a brokerage account. You can invest in index funds that follow the S&P 500, for example. And you can, you know, it'll take a little bit, but like you can get a pretty good nest egg started with some focused effort, and, you know, a little bit of education and a little bit of being proactive. And that is, it's like, how do I say this? That's like the leg of the stool that is missing from a lot of the conversations about retirement planning. Like we always talk about your 401k and, you know, maybe your Roth or whatever, but like we don't really talk a lot. I feel like, especially in the Black community, we don't talk enough about having an after-tax brokerage account. So again, this is sort of your replacement. Since you don't have that house that you can sell, this is your replacement nest egg that you need to build up yourself. So it's not an emergency fund. It's not in a retirement fund. This is money that you can access to fund your, again, your early retirement or your time freedom whenever you choose to take it. I'm going to just give one little footnote. So I know I said a brokerage account and I wasn't talking about retirement accounts, but my footnote to that is that if you have a Roth IRA and it's been open for 5 years, you can withdraw the money that you put into it, your contributions, without penalty. So that's another little thing to sort of think about the buckets of money that you have and try to put your money in places that are accessible to you, not somewhere where it's tied up until you're 59 and a half. You still want to invest for later, but you want to invest for now too. Like you want to make sure you have, not now, you want to invest for sooner and you want to invest for later. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, so if you want some resources to help you with getting started with that brokerage account, I am going to link you to Money Coach Malika, and I think her channel is called Fearless Financials. I'll have that for you in the description. All right, that is the next thing on my list. The last thing that you can do as a strategy is to explore unconventional ways to cut costs and reduce your expenses. So housing is the biggest expense that we have. I think we all know that. And so some unconventional ways to reduce housing expenses. So here's the thing about not owning a home. You have options for ways to reduce your housing expenses because you're not tied to a home and you're not tied to a location. So you can consider things like getting a roommate or living with family or house sitting full time and paying no rent at all. And there are Black women who do this. Diamond Crystal, the gallivanting grandma, is one off the top of my head. But it's possible. That's something that you could look into. And then you can also think about not only how to reduce your expenses now, but how to reduce your expenses in retirement. So that could look like retire where the cost of living is cheaper. So I'm going to point you to some experts in that last strategy. And those people are Stephanie Perry and Rashida Dow. So Stephanie Perry talks about house sitting. That is who I learned how to house sit from. I like her channel because it just kind of gives you some possibilities for what's out there and different ways to live. So I will link to that in the description. And then Rashida Dow has a program called From Burnout to Bliss, and she helps Black women figure out their finances and strategy so that they can take career breaks or move abroad. And I will link to her in the description as well. And yeah, so those are my 4 strategies for how to get time freedom, how to possibly retire early if you don't have a house to sell for money or you don't have a pension coming in. So not having those things doesn't mean that you can't do it. It just means it's going to look a little bit different for you. So if you think you are interested in doing what I'm doing, which is strategy number 1, which is buying your time freedom in pieces or in chunks, then, like I said, book a call with me at bit.ly/reset with Celeste, and let's talk about if contract work is a path for you. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you like my content overall and you want to hear more about how to achieve time freedom, then please subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.